Hello and welcome back to another episode of After Fire Jumix. Today is March, okay? We are in March, and whenever we think of March, it comes to women because it's International Women's Day on every 8th of March every year. So what is International Women's Day, okay? Hey, hold on. We have to do the usual hosting.
Yes.
My name is Deanna and...
I'm San Still here.
Okay,
and today we have two special guests. So do you want to introduce them?
Not yet, because we are going to go to what is IWD first, International Women's Day. So basically, International Women's Day has occurred for over a century now. The first gathering actually was, believe it or not, is in 1911. It was like 109 years ago. Wow. And on this day, we celebrate the amazing social, cultural, economic, and political achievements of women, while also campaigning for greater progress towards gender equality. Then it brings to our topic today on why we think it's necessary to address gender equality. So today our title would be Sans.
So is it important to have gender equality in the industry?
It's the topic for the podcast is actually the untold truth because there are a lot of gender equality issues that we are not aware of. And we think today we have the best guest. Our special guest today is from PWDC, their Penang Women's Development Corporation. So I'm going to do a very, very robotic introduction about them, and later we'll get them to humanize it. So Penang Women's Development Corporation, PWDC, is a state-funded company with a vision towards a Penang which mainstreams gender into the policies and programs of all sectors in order to achieve gender and social justice in the state. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Ong, the CEO of PWDC, and Eric. He is the head of communications, and they will do a slight introduction about themselves and also PWDC. So welcome to the podcast, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Diana. And Sans, thank you for inviting us in the first place. To be frank, this is our first time we are in a podcast. So we are really excited about this session. And of course, to share what we are doing and how, in general, the society is able to make the shift. Myself, I am the CEO. And I have been with this organization for the last 3 or 4 years. And it has been an exciting journey over these 3 or 4 years. Before that, I was with very much into the education, training and development industry. Of course, into business development and so on and so forth. So I have gone through a big very diverse career. And this is even more exciting than I have expected. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. Eric.
Hi everyone, I'm Eric. As introduced just now, I'm the head of the communication department in PWDC. My working experience is not as diverse as Miss Ong. I was previously from the environmental consultancy industry and just got into PWDC for 1 year. So what my department will be doing is we organize state campaigns to push for gender equality in the state. And we're also in charge of the writing materials, such as the speeches and the press statements from the media. Yeah. Again, thanks for having us today.
Cool. Thank you. So like just now, I did mention what is PWDC about, but it's very, very dry. I'm sure a lot of listeners hasn't been listening to me. So please tell us more.
Oh, wow. That will normally take 3 days. But yeah. Basically, what we do is on a high level, we draft what they call the policies for the state. As you said, very much into looking into the gender aspect of what the state is doing. So that also influences not just what the policy is all about, but also how the budget is to be spent, which is most important, because you can talk anything and everything, and yet if there's no money in it, then nothing gets done. So we do draft policies and at the lowest level, we work very closely with the communities. Okay, so communities, especially in the corporate world, it is very common to have even like leadership program and all that. But if you go down to the ground, very few women have the experience of even going through a workshop or a personal development program. And that's what we do. We go to the ground, identify women, and then we take them through leadership program. So it's pretty diverse. And also that's where we get our hands dirty, and yet we also need to put our hats on. Our thinking hats on. Yeah.
Interesting. I think this is a lot that we don't know that what is PWDC doing. And in terms of gender, it's such a big question mark out there. Like, how do we even get things equal, right? So without further ado, I think, Sans, do you have a question to ask?
Yes, I think Miss Ong, what is gender equality to you?
Yeah.
How do we address this thing? That how is it equal? Like, is it because we need to have half female and half male? I mean, doing something we need to be equal, or is it how do we make it equal?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that is an interesting question. I think in the first place, we need to really understand what the word gender means. Okay, we do have some activities and all that we also go to the ground. And if you're interested, just let us know. We go to companies and all that to even unpack what is the difference between gender and sex. Okay, because a lot of people think that, oh, gender is sex, but it's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
I think so too.
Okay. Yeah, so we want to unpack, because gender basically is a social construct. It means that it is what the society says about a man and a woman. But when they talk about sex, it's actually more of a biological features, physiological features. I'm going to use some scientific word. For example, men have penis. Okay, so it's biological. Women have vagina. That's biological. So we define that as sex, to make it simple. But when you talk about gender, so people say, oh, what is gender then? Gender then is that, oh, when they talk about women, some people first thing comes is, oh, they do housework. That's the first thing. So then the question is that, can men do housework? What do you think the answer is?
Yeah.
Yes,
course.
correct.
Yes.
So
I'm doing
then
housework
there is
myself.
only wow, great. So this is what gender is. Gender is a role or even a task that we assign to a man and a woman. And gender can change because in different environment, different situation, the role, the activities of man and woman changes. And that's gender. Okay. So what we are born with is just sex. So we want to unpack that. So when you say gender, it's just that the different roles that we take.
Yeah, it makes a lot of
for men.
sense now.
Yeah.
But when it comes to equal, so if
Yeah.
it's like, if different gender has different needs,
Yeah.
so what do you mean by equal then?
So what we are saying is that we know men and women cannot be equal in terms of biology, in terms of your physiology. Of course, people say there are some ways and all that, but biologically, when we are born with certain features, really. So, but in gender equality would mean to say that at a certain point, okay, currently we don't see it, but at a certain point when we achieve gender equality, then men and women will have same opportunity to achieve their maximum potential. If I'm a woman and I'm a good to become a pilot, I'm given the opportunity to become a pilot. If I'm good to be a director, I'm given the opportunity to become a director. Okay, even owning of assets. If you look at in general, who own assets? Who own land? Who owns houses? Who own properties? You would see typically men.
Men, yeah.
So then the question is not equal, meaning to say that men and women don't have the opportunity to own assets. Okay, and even to experience or to enjoy some of the benefits of what the state is providing and all that. Then the question, does women and men have the equal opportunity to enjoy all these services? If we do, then we say we have achieved gender equality. Yeah.
If we go back to the fundamentals, okay, like public toilets, if men has 5 toilets and women have 5 toilets, is that equal?
It looks on the surface is equal. Okay. However, if you look at the needs of the women, okay, women typically takes more time in the toilet. I think if you know and you observe, women go to the toilet, they have to remove this and they're very particular about where they sit on. So
Yes.
they take even some time just to wipe the toilet and all that. So by the time they do it, it will take probably around 2 or 3 times longer than men. Okay?
Yeah.
Whereas men go to the toilet is just between the zip and wherever they need to let go. So it's again different because based on the different people and we have different needs and all that, then we should look at how to make them equal. That means you must probably have more toilets now. So like in Penang, they are coming out with a guideline or a policy whereby it's required that for every men's toilet, there should be 2 women's toilet. So we are not saying, okay, just now you mentioned, Diana, you mentioned five, right? So we are not saying, we reduce the 5. No. You can have the 5 men toilet, right? But probably you have to build 10 women's toilet. Okay. Because I think you also observe like when you go to toilet, it's like, where's the queue? It's always a women's queue. Sometimes queue until go outside, sometimes until the corridor of the shopping mall. Then people wondering, got queue, got free gift, man. But it's actually they're queuing for the toilet.
Yeah. And then men will be waiting outside like, why so long? Why so long?
Yeah, I agree. I was in a concert and the ladies' room queue was so long. I saw a guy has to accompany her female friend into the male toilet. So the guy was covering her eyes and then move her into the toilet.
Oh dear.
Because maybe she's
very urgent.
She's very urgent, but the queue is so long.
Yeah.
So I think this implementation is very important to get more women toilets than men toilets.
Yeah. So that's why going back to the definition on that. So you have to look into the different needs of the people. Okay. There are differences between men and women. Okay. And how then do you want to cater to this type of differences? That's why when it says equal opportunity to enjoy the facilities, part of it is toilet.
I think these are also one of the factors why this year we are celebrating International Women's Day with the theme of each for equal. So each for equal actually means this way. And now we have know what is gender equal about. Let's go into depth on the issues that we are facing in gender equality. Okay, so in a personal observation, I think maybe about 6 years ago, I always accompany my parents watch tennis tournaments, and then I realized something that why men cash prizes are so much higher than women cash prizes. Although they come out with the same kind of training, they have to go through the same kind of struggles to be able to be on the top, but then they are getting less paid. Like why? And then I asked my mom, Mia, why like women are paid less? Then she was like, I don't know, it has been like that. Or it's a very, very alarming question when you don't know how to answer this as a woman also, like you also don't know what is happening. So today I would like to bring this out and address this as an issue on gender pay gap. Okay, right. So how does this influence a woman in their career development in getting this? Imbalance, we feel imbalance, and how to even find a solution.
Yeah. Interesting. I think this is something only sometimes women only observe it. Because when you get, you feel the discrimination, maybe I ask Sense and Eric, do you all realize all this happening? Before you have this topic?
So maybe I share from my experience. In my industry, a lot of my friends who are in the business and technology companies, they tend to hire only male because they want to hire male programmers or male tech guys. Wow. But for me, at a point of time in my company, there's only me. I'm the only male. So all the rest of my teammates are female.
True.
And people will ask me, hey, why you hire so many females? And so on.
Right.
But to me, I don't see a big difference in how they can work. To me, I think as long as they can work, I don't care they are female or a male. So I think that there must be some stereotype instilled in their brain back then to make them do this kind of decision. But for me, it doesn't really need to be this way.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to make a small change in my action. To solve this kind of stuff.
One thing I can ask you, like, since you have experience working with men in tech and women in tech, are there any difference between the work that they are created, after the end result?
I think the end result would be similar or the same, but the process of how they do it is quite different. So men usually they want something to achieve quickly, or they just look at the result. I want to achieve this, I'll do whatever it takes. Right. And for women, they will pay attention to details. And sometimes they might, be more emotional, but in a way that is positive because they are more human. They can pay attention to the audience and the results they want. So the process is quite different, but the result is the same. So to me, hiring a male or female is the same. It's just how do we get the job done? Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Eric, you wanted to say something?
I just want to add in that perhaps it can be said that gender gap is different in different sectors because I come from the industrial chemist line or field line. So in that, it actually have more female chemists than male chemists. Maybe but I do observe that in certain industry, especially in the IT department, they have more men than women. But if you talk about the chemists, they have more women chemists than men chemists. So maybe one thing that we need to maybe notice is that gender gap is different. Yeah, depends on which line of work that you're talking about.
Yeah. So maybe I also want to quote that, in situations in certain organizations, why is it that women can be bypassed? For instance, let's say if a woman deliver a baby, okay, and she comes back to work, okay, most bosses, hopefully not all, most bosses will think, wow, she just got a baby, must be very tired. I don't think I want to give her more work. And I don't think I want to give her promotion. Is not a good time now because she's so busy with the baby. Okay? So that is if you look at how working mothers are, what are the things that they have to overcome, some of the challenges. But if it's a father who just came back just came back from paternity leave, got new baby in the home, the first thing is that, wow, I think his responsibility is more now. I think he needs to get promoted fast so that he can go and support the family.
Yeah.
So you see even the thinking behind, and this is what we call by unconscious bias. We are unconscious that this is what goes in our mind, So it's like, oh yeah, so I better give the father a promotion now because he needs it more because he now have a family to raise. No, so these type of things actually happen in our society, and I would like to also mention that some of this, as Diana said, she saw it because it affects you. Then only you see it. Then you see the discrimination. If you don't feel it, then sometimes you don't see it. So, but then if we are more conscious now and we are more mindful that this is actually happening, then as a boss, as a father, as whatever role you're playing, you can take some proactive action.
That's right. I think in terms of this, both genders, like men and women, has to really understand and communicate properly in terms of things like that. Like men can also do housework. Men can also do be house husbands. And this is something that everyone has to accept first, to change and unlearn things before.
Yes, like I'm ready to take care of the children anytime.
Are you sure? Okay.
That'd be interesting to see.
So Miss Ong, I have a question. Because we mentioned about how sometimes women are being treated differently in the business or in the society. Is there any action taken by the authority to help to solve this issue, or at least help to bridge out the gap?
So I think it's important that if you're the head of organization or the head of the department, there are many ways you can take action. So maybe I share with you, let's say for my organization, we do give flexi hours. That means between 8 to 10, anytime you can log in, okay? And you work the 8 or 9 hours and all that, and then you can log out. And it is not just, the flexi hours is not just for women, because we also have fathers who need to send children to school and all that. So the flexi hours and all that is also not just to enable mothers to do, do the child caring, but we also want the men to be involved. Okay. And that's why we also promote shared responsibilities at home. At the state level, to me, the state has been very progressive. Penang State has been very progressive in terms of adopting and implementing the gender inclusiveness policy. So in this policy, what we are saying is that when the government department, when they implement any program or even in the budgeting, they should take gender into consideration. You have to look at what are the needs of the men and the women, not just implement. Look at it. Transportation. Do you need to see whether there's a difference? How women go and access transportation? Most women don't have cars comparatively. So even if you have a station, a LRT, whatever, how do you enable, or what is the, it's like closed circuit lah. You cannot just say, oh, from home you just walk to the station. It can be 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away from a station. So how do you ensure that maybe there should be shuttle bus and all that to pick up women who are not able to, don't have a transport to go to the station? So having a station is one thing, but making sure that it is comprehensive enough to cover all. So the gender inclusiveness policy is one, and we also in there advocate for a 40-40-20. This is a gender balance management. It means that especially in the decision making, because we find that as you go higher, there'll be less and less women. So we are advocating that for the government departments also to have a 40-40-20, meaning to say that the composition will be 40 men, 40 women, 20% is open to men or women who are eligible, who are qualified. So then that gives that opportunity for women to make decisions, because just bear in mind that 50% of the population is actually women. So if you have women at the decision making table, then the decision will be more encompassing, more inclusive lah. Yeah. Otherwise, it will be things like what the man thinks only. Yeah. So the second one that the state has also put into place is what we call the Jawatan Kuasa Pembangunan Wanita dan Keluarga. This committee of 15 women at each of the 40 kadun. It means 40 state constituencies in Penang. In each of the constituency, there are 15 women. And their role is just to implement and organize women and family development program. Okay, so we are really going to the ground, and we are very happy very glad also that the state has actually put a budget for this mechanism to work. As I say, no money, no talk lah. Yeah. So I think in that sense, I would say that Penang, we are very progressive in that. In fact, until now, we are the only state which have these two, a policy and also a mechanism, structure and mechanism in place.
Wow, Penang boleh.
Yeah. Penang leads lah. We say Penang is the leader. We inspire the nation.
That's great. I'm more proud to be a Penangite now. Sorry, other states, I don't mean anything.
Come to Penang.
Penang one better.
We haven't mentioned the food yet, right?
Yeah, of course. It's just a very small part. Okay. Also, like I did understand from you that you use the word gender inclusiveness rather than gender equality. Is there a reason behind why you do it? Say it this way?
We find that sometimes the word gender equality can be intimidating quote unquote to certain people, because they keep saying I'm not equal how you say why I'm equal, Okay. So we found that using the word gender inclusiveness, that means include men and women. It's okay. All right, to include men and women.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the terminology is important, so that because somehow the gender equality cannot be achieved. It cannot be achieved by the women themselves. It has to be the men and the women together. Then only can achieve gender equality. Yeah? So in that aspect, the terminology was a way to make. It also enables and facilitate for the men to come in and in the conversation. Yeah.
So it's more like including all the gender instead of just focusing on
the
female.
women. Yeah.
Okay.
Like currently in our society, what are the gaps that are in gender inclusiveness? Like,
what are the gaps? If you look at so gender inclusiveness is the process or the way to achieve gender equality. Ultimately, it's still gender equality, because we want to achieve a point whereby all are given opportunity already. All are given. Everybody is have the equal opportunity already, and that is the point that we want to achieve lah. So the ultimate goal is still gender equality. So in this gender inclusiveness, it is also for men to be involved. Okay, and in fact, we're coming out with a program. We used to have program. In fact, a lot of program is focusing on women. We're going to come up with a program for men.
Oh,
So we used to have a program called Ini Hal Lelaki. Yeah, so we're going to invite men to come and have a conversation about gender equality, gender inclusiveness. How do you balance, a man and a woman's role and all that?
I think it's a good initiative. So you invite both parties to have a say. Instead
No,
of
this one is only men.
only men. Yeah.
Only men. So Ini Hal Lelaki, because we also want to provide a platform for men. Their rasa is like, wow, I've been pushed. Why are you all talking about gender equality? So we want to have that conversation also. And this type of program will be good for men, because we also know that as a father, as a husband and all that, there are many, many challenges, And how do they voice it out? Is there a platform? Is there a space for them to even voice out? Why am I going to do all the laundry now?
But right now, for like two men sitting around us,
Yeah.
do you guys have any issues or concerns that you think when you get married? What kind of issues that will come out? Anything that you have in mind?
For me, I don't have any concern in my mind because I'm quite gender sensitized by working in PWDC. So maybe Sans has something to...
Yeah, to
to
me,
input.
maybe I would say maybe I would need to take more time to, put myself into work, because I might need to earn more money to support the family. I think this is quite a common thinking of what men will have. So, but interestingly, Miss Ong say that men can also be a house husband.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this can be an interesting idea.
That you can speak to your partner.
Because it's quite a new thinking that we don't really expose to these kind of thoughts. All the while we just, men have to work harder to support the family, the woman just need to stay at home. So I think the interesting idea is something new to me. So I think it's a good thing to consider.
Yeah, I think all this kind of mindset has to start from when we were younger, like how we are being exposed, especially in education itself. I remember in school, gender was never discussed at all. Like I never heard why men, boys and girls. Like even I remember when I was in standard 6 or something, the school will actually have some nurses to come in and speak about period. And then the boys are actually left in class. Why? I think this is something that both boy and girls should understand. And then girls will say, I on my B, my best friend comes. Why we cannot use the word? This kind of thing are things that we can start from when we were younger and being exposed to education. So what sense you are saying that this kind of thing? Of course, right now before that we are not exposed. We are really not exposed at all. So it's really a matter of...
It might be our responsibility to start educating this to our next generation, so that the things will start to
change,
Yeah.
right?
And I also think that we need to notice that this mindset persists, even though that actually nowadays there are more dual incomes come from the family. So even though that both husband and wife are earning income for the family, men are still perceived as the head of the family, and women are still expected to come home to prepare the dinner, look after their kids, and do also houseworks, and men are not expected to do that. So I also come across an article that very interesting is that women shouldn't be say that they are lucky to have husband who help them do their housework. They are equal. They are not lucky. Yeah, I think this is the sort of mindset that has been installed in everyone.
That's right. That's very true. Like the words we are using to actually acknowledge what men are doing for us and how women are doing for men has to be changed.
Precisely. So that's why it's not I help you, it's a shared responsibility. It's a responsibility. I mean, once you start a family, then there are responsibilities in the family. So how you share it out? Well, there could be certain time. I mean, it cannot be 50-50 because it depends on the type of work you are in, and also the amount of time that you have to spend outside and all that. So it is then sharing there's negotiation going on, discussion going on. Okay, you do this, I do this. All right, okay. Then we proceed, because otherwise it's really housework and all that can be actually straining the relationship. So it's best that it's discussed and then both agree and then you move on. And of course, we know that there are certain young couples or even old couples, I don't know, but then young couples will say that, why is so difficult? Go and get somebody to do it. If you're capable, why not? You know, so you don't have to take the responsibility to yourself and you think that you can outsource it. Or nowadays, you know, I know young couples or even singles, they don't do their laundry anymore. Send everything to the laundry, you know, they don't wash their own clothes anymore, things like that. So then is again, if the family is capable, you know, you can look at other options now.
That's true. So just now you did mention about the gaps that are in the society, but what are the gaps that are still very, very far away? Like we know that in education and health, we are actually achieving gender parity.
Yes.
But what are the other areas that are still, you know, we have to work harder?
Oh, okay. So in terms of gender equality, we look into 4 aspects. As Diana has said, the 2 are the health and also the education. In Malaysia, we're talking about Malaysia. Malaysia, we are actually very close to parity already.
Wow. Woohoo.
Yeah, yes.
Well done,
So
guys.
it means that boys, girls, and men and women has, you know, very close equal opportunities to access education. So now we have less discrimination. In the old days, my mom actually was discriminated not to go to school, not able to go to school, you know. So at this point now, I think after 2 generations, we see the shift. Okay, so irrespective whether you're a boy or a girl, you can go to school now. Yeah. The other one is on health also. So health, of course, if they are in the marginalized group and all that, we can see the not able to get access to health. But otherwise, it's the same. Meaning to say, if it's a boy and a girl, you can get access to health also. So these 2 areas, no issue. The issue or the gap is actually in economic empowerment. Women are still lagging behind, and the other one is in politics. Okay, we are one of the 4th quartile, you know. That means out of the whole global standing, Malaysia, we are the bottom 75%.
Ayo.
Yeah, in terms of political, especially in the federal meaning to say the member of parliament, we are one of the top quartile.
Yeah, because from what I see from statistics, there's only 33 women in the parliament as compared to the men. There's only 15%.
Yeah.
So do you think is it important for the federal government to include more women into the parliament?
Yeah, it's definitely important to include more women in politics because we talk about critical mass in politics where we had to have at least 30% of women in the parliament to make meaningful changes. Because if it is all men and they make certain decisions, it comes from a perspective of just men. Any laws and regulation that are introduced is not inclusive enough. It doesn't include the voices of the women. So it's definitely important to include more women in politics.
And maybe I could like to add also at the state level. I mean, for whatever we say, even PWC has been, you know, around for the last 8-9 years. We still see a lot of challenges, you know. At the state assembly, there are 40 cardoons, right? We only have 6. That means only 15% women representation, which is very low. You know, how do you have 15% to represent 50% of the population? Because the reason that we say that we need more women, because women have different life experiences, you know? And it is during this type of platform, this type of level that they can bring changes to the law, to the policies, to what the government is doing, because it's going to affect their life also. And that's why we're saying that we need more women out there. At the EXCO level, that means in the we call it a state minister level, there are 11 of them. Only one that is YB Chong Ing. One out of the 11, one woman out of the 11 EXCOs.
Oh, she has to go and...
Yeah, so when it talks about women, okay, everybody will look at her. Yeah. So it is, then again, the question is that, you know, how do we have only one EXCO, one women EXCO representing the 50% of the population? So as Eric has said, the 30%, if you look at it, you know, in a table of 10 people, if one person talk only, you think they will be hurt.
No.
Less likely, right?
Right.
So that's why the critical mass of 3. If you have 3, that means each of us support. Okay, you say this, I'll say this. Then things happen. Lah.
Yes.
If not, with one person banging the table, jumping and all that, nothing gets done. So the 30%, that's what we have been talking about. The 30%, we need at least 30% for things to change.
Okay.
Like we want to know, like YB Chong-ing is the only woman in the EXCO. So what are the major and revolutionary changes that she made, with a one woman voice alone? So we know that if more women, of course we can do better changes, right?
Yeah, true.
So what are the examples that she made, to help us today?
Of course, one of the things that the state has done is forming PWDC. Okay, we are the only state to have a PWDC. I mean, an organization looking into women's representation, women's development. For the last year, I think, of course, PWDC is thankful to YB Chong-ing, who is also the chair of the board of PWDC. Yeah, so she has been advocating for a structural change and also for policy change, and that's why last year was actually the first year that we have the gender inclusiveness policy.
Wow.
And also the Jawatan Kuasa Pembangunan Wanita dan Keluarga, because we also believe that we need to grow or create the talent pool, a women's talent pool from the bottoms up. Because we keep on hearing there's not enough up there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we cannot be just arguing and nothing happens. So the strategy is to create more women from the bottom. So with the JPWK, now we have 600 women because we got 14 per committee and we have 40 kadun. So 600 women leaders at the ground.
Wow.
So for PwC, this is when after the appointment, we do development program, we do leadership program for them, hoping that there'll be more women who will be interested to come up more and more. Okay, and in probably hopefully the near future, more women will step up and say that, oh, this is interesting, this is something that I'm comfortable to do, and because politics is not an area that women come naturally. Okay, I know some men also don't sing, so but then, but for women, it's just not something that's natural. And I think it's a chicken and egg issue because they don't see role models. You don't see role models. Politics is very difficult. Why? Because I don't see any women up there.
Especially from the younger generation.
Right, precisely.
I don't see any in Penang itself. For me, I think there's a lot that we can do to really train. I'm sure there are people like women that are very interested in politics, but they just don't know where to start, right? They don't know what to do, where to start, what to learn, what are the soft skills that you need to be in there. And being the EXCO is a very serious thing because you are representing a lot of people out there. And
Precisely.
I think as a woman myself, I would know that how much pressure I'll be having on my shoulders to be able to be in there. So I think you guys are also doing a lot of campaigns towards, helping women to be in there. Can you please share some for us to be involved?
Yeah, so we have one Sidang Wanita coming on. So I'm sure you heard about State Assembly, DUN. There one Undangan Negeri where we have every year. So where the state assemblymen and women, they will talk about issues in Penang and then they will pass regulations to solve the problems. So in Sidang Wanita, we will have women only in this assembly and where they can have experience. How is it like to work in a DUN sitting?
There's something that it's so unfamiliar to me as a woman to not even really understand politics, like all the EXCO, the DUN and all, because we are not exposed to this at all.
True.
And I think with this Sidang Wanita is something that PWDC has come out as an initiative to help women to understand more about how you can get involved and get your voice heard. Right? So how can we sign up for it?
This Sidang Wanita is, in fact, it's going to be the first time you're doing it. It's the first time. So this is the first year. And I think now you see all this political turmoil going on, the fluid, what is happening here. And until now, I think today also not many people know what's happening up there.
Exactly.
And I think it is again, I see it as an opportunity, okay, because of all this uncertainty, youngsters, okay, which are the boys, the girls, the men, and the women, are also getting interested. Hey, what's happening? So when people ask what's happening, and that's when they get interested in politics, okay, because we need to know that at the very high level, politics can influence our life. Yeah. Of course, the youngsters, the first thing they say is that, hey, are they going to stop my social media? Are they going to stop my Facebook and all that? Do we have to stop using my Instagram and all that? So once they affect them, then they only see the importance. And this Sidang Wanita is basically to create that simulated situation for women to feel comfortable. Because we want more women to come up, to make laws, to make changes, to make regulations, as Eric has said, to make policies, so that it become more gender sensitive lah. And it is like getting both perspective right. Yeah, not just from one side.
That's right. So I think with this, we can conclude that, gender equality is not just a women's problem. It's always said as, it's 女人的事, it's always women's problem, but it's not. It's about both genders coming together and communicating to understand what are the issues that are out there that we can, really solve together. Not about, and this is something that I think everyone should understand from young, no matter how old, don't try to put in stereotypes that are not true or is something that you don't want your future generations to follow.
Yeah, maybe on that, Diana, maybe I would like to also add that when we look at the gender, as you said rightly, it is not just about women. In higher education institution, we are also seeing the shift again. In the old days, women want to go into university. I think it was so difficult. They have to lobby, they have to protest, demonstrate and all that. But today we are seeing more girls inside the universities, and it is good for girls, lah.
Kudos to that.
Yeah, that's right. But then the back question we have to ask is, what's happening to our boys? Okay, is there something is not right, lah? What we are saying is something is not right if we see the needle moving towards one side. Okay, and this is where we say that it's a gender issue now, because boys are not going into the universities, and it is also worrying, because if you then translate back to when we talk about economic empowerment, you look at the labor participation rate. Male is typically around 80.1, 80.4, around that, is hovering around that. However, women is only 55%. It means to say that we have a lot of girls inside the university, but it's not translated to labor force participation rate. Yeah? And that is another big issue that we have to overcome, because to send a child to go through university, it costs so much for the country. It's an investment for the country, but then it's not translated to productivity. So we have to look again into the issues of job market, labor market. What's happening out there? And in fact, if you look at it, a lot of women go in and they come out, especially when they give birth. When they have babies, between the father and the mother it's most of the time, if not all the time, is the mother who will take a step back. Yeah. So, and that affects the labor force participation rate now. So the question is that, how, if childcare is an issue, how then can we have more childcare at the workplace, so that the woman or the mother feels safe to send the child there, and then after work just pick them up and all that. So there are solutions to it. Okay, and we are actually working towards that. We are actually propagating, we are lobbying for more companies to set up childcare centers, so that to enable the female staff to stay in the workforce. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sans, are you ready to set a childcare?
Sure.
Yeah.
I would benefit too.
Like today, since it's International Women's Day, the podcast is in conjunction of that. Can we all try to share how can we do just the simple steps that we can do to support the women that are around us? Just one simple step. Like, can we start from Sans?
Okay, I think for me, because as an employer, I will give equal rights and equal opportunity and equal treatment to both men and women, because just like whatever we discussed today, it's not just about the woman, it's about both parties. So I think we have to treat them fairly, but of course, taking in account the biological difference, we need to make some changes. Yeah. So that's from me.
Yeah. For me, I think later I'm going to have a very nice and good talk with my mom for her to be, giving me the right education to be where I am today, and to thank all the women around me, all my friends, all my aunties and uncles for supporting me in whatever I do. I think that's very important to show that support and encouragement.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think Diana, you mentioned a very good point, because IWD, it is a good time to show your appreciation to women around you, be it your mother, your daughter, your auntie, or even just your female co-worker. It's a time to say thank you to them. And also you can also support the state government, the state campaign to promote IWD, because we are not, when we talk about the state campaign IWD 2020, we are not just talking about one event. In fact, we have a series of events packed under one IWD calendar. At the moment, we do have 60 events coming in, and we're working with 20 partners overall. And to know what events are available, you may log into PWDC Facebook and just have a look at the post that we post up. So a few things I would like to highlight is that we're also working with the shopping malls such as Gurney Paragon, Gurney Mall, Queens Bay Mall, and Sunway Carnival, where they have certain promotion. If you bring a purple item to their mall, you will enjoy discount at some of the outlets. Some you may even have discount at for having ice cream.
Wow,
in the mall.
I'll be interested in that.
Yeah. So of course we also want to highlight that purple color is the official color of IWD. So we'll be expect to see the malls are decorated with purple color. And I will see that I'm sure that Diana and Sean will walk into our office. You'll see purple color all around PWDC office. So we can also support IWD by decorating your workplace and also your home with purple color to raise awareness, to spread this message to the public that we are celebrating IWD. This is a time to show your appreciation to the women around you.
Also, if you haven't done it like us, sorry, you can. It's still never too late. Okay, later on we are gonna get some
Let's
purple.
repaint the whole office.
Oh, good timing, right?
Make a corner purple. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Miss Ong, anything?
I think this year's theme really sort of zero down what we have been saying now, because we say each for equal. So each of us, we are definitely responsible for our actions, our behaviors, our attitude, and all that. Yeah? So if it starts with us, it always starts with I. What can I do? Okay. However, the I, if we do it collectively, okay, that means every of us with the I say, yes, we want to appreciate, we want to, do this and bring up the dignity of women. We want to give them more respect and all that. Collectively, I think we can see a change. Okay. And the change is actually for a more equal and more balanced world. Yeah, because if it's equal and all that, then everybody has, is able to achieve their maximum potential.
Yeah.
If not, it's only 50% of the world's population. So we shouldn't deny, the rights and also the opportunity to the other 50%. Yeah.
Okay, so I think before we go into the end of our podcast, we have a section we call Questions of the Pod, where we take 2 questions from our audience and we will ask our guests. So here's the first question.
The surprise question.
All right. So the first question is, how can women start getting involved in politics? Are there anything we can learn ourselves to be able to prepare ourselves to get into politics in future? I mean, what are the maybe 2 or 3 things that they can learn or prepare themselves first?
If you're talking about the real politics, that means in terms of really going into the mainstream politics, to me, I'm not a politician, okay, but my observation is that you still need to go through certain parties, political parties, because I mean, the first thing is that you have to look into what the party, what's their ideology, what's their philosophy, and which is the one which is more inclined to what you want. Yeah. So decide that first, and then very easily just go and become a member and understand, okay, what is it all about, so that you are then in the political party and you already in the mainstream. Otherwise, if you have enough followers, then start your own political party lah.
Yeah.
But again, I want to stress the importance of being in politics. Okay, it is sometimes can be delusion because it's like, hey, this is not what I expect from a politician and all that. And that is where we need more people to come out and step up and say, yes, we are strongly disagree, and what can I do? You know, rather than I know a lot of people just go into social media, condemn, and complain,
right, yeah.
and then tell the whole world you're not happy and all that. But the more important thing is what can you do? Yeah, so take action now. If you are strongly, in favor or disfavor certain thing, voice it out through the proper channel and all that. Yeah, unless you become the social influencer lah. But social influencer again, take time and all that. There are many ways. Yeah, but I think importantly is that if you believe in certain party or certain ideology, please do sign up. Okay, and get yourself involved in it, because then you know what are the thinking, and you have a bigger movement with you to pursue what you are very, very aligned to what you want, rather than just going outside there. And that also applies to youngsters. We in fact encourage more youngsters to come in, to be involved in this, because the future is yours.
Yes, that's very
Right.
true.
So if you don't do something now, you can imagine what's will happen, your generation, even your next generation. So if you want to make the change start with you.
Yeah, that's a very good quote. Thank you so much, Ms. Ong, for sharing that. So we actually have another question. One of our listeners are saying that if there's this statement, if women stop wearing less revealing clothes, it will help lessen the rate of rape cases. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is definitely untrue, because all responsibility should fall upon the perpetrator, but not the victims. We shouldn't ask women what not to wear, what should they wear. We should ask men not to rape. So this is all about where you place the responsibility. Yeah. So in short, the statement is just simply untrue.
Thank you so much. I think that's a very good and powerful statement that we all have to digest and understand. Okay, so before we end this podcast, we actually prepared something, a surprise for Miss Ong.
Oh, I'm supposed to sing now?
You can sing if you want to, but actually I got in touch with your daughter, and then because it's in conjunction of International Women's Day, she has a message to share with
serious?
you. Yeah. So I'll play it now.
Oh, wow.
How you have strived.
Oops, sorry.
Hi, Mom. I would like to express my gratitude to you as the CEO of PWDC for accomplishing countless milestones for the NGO and for influencing women of various ethnicity. It's a challenging post to bear, but I'm proud of how you have strived for a better platform for women. Next, I respect you as the daughter of my grandmother for prioritizing her and providing her a better life. Then, I admire you as the elder sister of my uncles for the unwavering support to the growth of their family. Subsequently, I cherish you as the wife to my father for standing by him at all times and for caring for his family as if they are your own. Last but not least, I love you as the mother of my brothers and I for treating us as equals, for educating us, for being adventurous, for scrumptious no-recipe meals, for encouraging us with our goals, and for being a person to look up to. You play so many other roles, holding responsibilities to abundant parties, which might suffocate you at times, but I'm here to remind you that you are being loved, cherished, appreciated, and respected by our family, your peers, the people you have influenced, every person that you have interacted with, and I. You are one strong, intelligent, and beautiful woman. Happy International Women's Day, Mom. And to all listeners, do utilize every day to celebrate and cherish the existence of women around you.
Wow. I already got tears in my eyes. I didn't expect that. Oh, wow. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Jenna. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
You,
Thank you, Sui, for also, agreeing to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
everyone, like, for International Women's Day is really about celebrating women.
Yeah.
And just look around you, tell your mom, and just say thank you to your mom. Tell her how much you love her and your dad for supporting you to do everything for your education, for a house, for a comfortable home. I think it's very important. It's not only about women, and I think this podcast really means that. And I hope everyone listening, you really learned a lot. Like for me and Sans, I'm sure we had a very very good lesson today. Like there are so many things that we can do just around us, and it's just a reach away. And why are we not doing it to change for the better? So with that, I think we are going to end the podcast. But if you like our episode, please follow us on our social media. We are basically everywhere. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you want. Or even if you don't know where to go to, just come to our Facebook, message us. We are super okay. We can have a chat with you as well. So with that, I think be kind to one another, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you guys. So it's Diana signing out.
And this is Sense. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Miss Ong, for coming.
Thank you so much to
Thank
Diana
you.
and Sense. And Eric too, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Happy International Women's Day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.